Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 6/9, 2023, June 9th, 2023, Friday. Happy Friday. What a great day, guys. Hope you're having a great day. Super excited. See releases today. I don't think there are releases today. What's releasing today? I can't believe releasing today. There's always a release on Fridays. Fridays is Leaf, Donruss, UFC, FIFA, soccer, a lot of Pokemon. Nothing else. Topps Chrome overtime, elite basketball. That's today. I had no idea. Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you being here at Hobby News Daily. This is ZiggyNo, your host. It is Friday morning. We are live. Got a lot to talk about. We are going to talk about a new message board. Do you guys use message boards? Let me just ask it. Anybody use message boards? They are very important to the hobby. We'll talk about that. Cracking bad. Story of crack going bad. Talking about cracking a card. Lawsuits. We'll give an update on lawsuits. And Messi to Miami. Thought that was pretty cool. And some other stuff we'll sprinkle in between. So let's jump into the content. Present mode. If you guys don't know, I like to follow 1 Million Cards Project after this. He's at 8 o'clock normally. You do you, boo, but that's where I'll pop over to while I start my work day. Okay, boom. Let's start with over here. Cajun Cardboard had a really, really good conversation yesterday with Mind Cycle Cards. And I'll be honest, the thumbnail was, are sports cards an investment? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. And they did actually have a debate about sports cards and investment. I'm a big fan of both Mind Cycle and Cajun Cardboard. I enjoy the debate, although I think they missed some key points. Let me just say this. I'm not going to argue whether sports cards are investments. Investment's a very vague term. You have to define what an investment is before you define whether sports cards are an investment or not. Like, for example, I invest my time every day in this channel. Is that an investment in money? No. But anyway, what I think is missing is that what bothers me is the investment-like terminology that was used in 2020, 2021 to manipulate and mislead people into sports cards, to make them think they were similar investments to, say, a stock or cash. And that every sports card was an investment. I think one thing to make a point is that every year, let's say 1 million sports cards are made, and that's just an example. Out of that 1 million, a vast, vast majority, 900,000 plus, over 90% of them will have no value or little or no value, right? They'll be worth less than what the cost of the acquisition of that card will be. 10%, I'm being generous, I think, could have greater value over time and hold that value. That's just my opinion. But because of that, that's why one of the primary reasons I think calling a sports card an investment is dangerous. I also don't like terminology like market cap. We've talked about that before. Anyway, the reason I want to bring this up is that Mind Cycle talks about the fact he just launched a new hobby board called the Hobby Boards. And this was in response to him being basically censored on Blowout. And I'll say this, a few things I want to say. I really, really like this. I support the hobby boards. I hope other people will sign up. That's why I'm talking about it. I'll probably talk about it for a while to get people's attention over there. I find that message boards are great because we get a lot of great information out of them. Do I use message boards? No. Just like Brian said in Cajun Cardboards, I'll be honest, I can't stand reading. I like audio, video content. I read enough for work. I don't want to read for my pleasure, so I don't read message boards. But some people do, and I like that. And I'm wondering, will this work? Will this take off? Will people go over here? Will hobby boards be something we talk about a year from now, 5 years from now? I hope so. But I will tell you, I've seen other message boards attempt. I know Sports Card Investor tried to run his own message board. I helped try to launch that. I don't think that took off. I don't think it's even being used today. I also know other message boards out there that are kind of stale. It seems like Blowout Forums is the message board for the hobby, so I hope the Hobby Boards becomes the message for that. So I don't know a lot about it, but I do know Mind Cycle a little bit. I like the fact he's running this. Check it out. He talks about some of the challenges with message boards versus IG. I'm supporting this. I hope this works out. I'll probably try to register and participate. I'm just not. It's not my forte. But I wanted to bring it to your attention. Next up, the lawsuit. Didn't we mention this yesterday with talking about what's the man's name? Lesko. Paul Lesko has phenomenal breakdown of this. But this is the best audio version. If you listen, I think Personal Finance Dad did a video on this. Neo did a video on this. Nothing But Bangers is the best video on this because he goes into some of the details, the history. For example, one of the little nuggets of detail you're going to get in this lawsuit between Upper Deck and Raven somebody is basically Upper Deck has been here before. Back in the 2009, 2008, they were making Yu-Gi-Oh! With Konami. and they got in a tiff and they stopped, but then they continued to make it, and they got in trouble. They got fined for it because they were making cards they shouldn't have made. So this is personal. Upper Deck is familiar with the TCG space. They're probably a little upset that TCG is being taken away from them, and here's somebody else trying to steal their stuff again. And they've been through the lawsuits before. So I think this is an interesting one. And again, I want to bring up this too. There's a history. There's a history of Upper Deck breaking the licensing rules and printing that they shouldn't have printed. I think that's amazing. It shows that I do think that in a year or so, companies are just going to print licensed stuff and they'll be like, sue me in court. What are you going to do? I'm going to make this stuff for consumers. People will buy it. What are you going to do? What are you going to stop it? So there could be some interesting collectibles that will be coming out of the market space. Like if you have a Lorcana, whatever these damn cards are, and this thing does get stopped from an injunction, that's going to make these cards probably spike a little bit. And they've already made some of these cards too. Some of those sneak out or they leak. I don't know. It's interesting to watch. I doubt they'll stop this release. I think what will happen is a big chunk of money will just get paid because it's great timing legally. They have an argument. They're trying to stop things. So I think Upper Deck will get a nice little windfall from this. That's my personal, what's the word called? Not legal opinion, stupid opinion. Sports Card Lessons Podcaster. Really enjoyed this conversation. One of the best lessons learned. You got to listen to this video to understand what happened here to Ken. He basically talks about the fact he had a card. He decided to get it cracked. He sent it to a friend or company or some buddy of his to crack it. And the guy cracked it and came back lower than it was before. But here's the problem is, before it got cracked, it had like a perfect 9.5 centering. After the cracking, it gets an 8.5 centering, which makes me think the card was switched. I think that whoever cracked it switched out his card, probably got his card and gave him a lower quality card. And if that happened, that is so shady. There's nothing he can do to prove that, right? He's got to go on and trust whatever. But if you listen to this video, you can hear it. He gets kind of screwed. My feedback, first of all, I don't know if you're going to do something like that. Do it yourself, dude. You got to be involved. You get your own hands dirty. You can't have somebody else basically. And I'll put it this way. Here's one of the arguments in this. He's trying to fix the 8.5 on the surface of the card. Now, some people might argue that he's restoring the card. So you're like, oh, he's got a finger. In fact, here's one of the greater arguments. People always think if the surface has a bad score, it could be a fingerprint. Every grader I've heard says that they wipe off fingerprints if they see them, which makes me believe they would not punish you. Like a fingerprint would not be the reason your surface grade is down. And I wish that someone would come out and confirm that for me. But I do know that when you get a card back and you look at the surface grade, it's got like a 9 or 9.5 or an 8, and you see a fingerprint, you go, well, if I wipe that fingerprint off, I'll bet you it gets a 10. That's not the case normally. Those surface issues are normally something else you cannot see. That's my lesson learned. So learn more about this. It's a really interesting story. I will say I told Ken a while ago to sell that card, but it is what it is, man. I really enjoy it. And sometimes I think another thing too, in the hobby, sometimes you got to touch the hot pot. I can tell you all the time the pot is hot, and you people are just going to still touch the damn pot. And it's okay. I got kids. I understand. They touch hot pots all the damn time. Tell them not to do that. Sports Card Collectors Chronicle, great video here on preparing for the National. He did one of these last year. It's probably one of the best videos I've saw. This is another phenomenal video. Big fan of his. I'm hoping to meet up with him, even do some collaborations with him. But again, great video. Check this out. Really, really well done video preparing the National. Tips like, for example, make sure you have batteries. Don't forget your battery packs. You need battery packs in your phones. Market manipulation and shield bidding. This is interesting here. I think this is where I pulled up there. Okay. So he's responding to this. I want a card I didn't want because I was trying to drive up the price. Well, at least you can sell both of them at the same price now. Okay, so it gets on the whole conversation about shield bidding. What makes shield bidding wrong, here's what makes shield bidding wrong, is that we create a valuation that others assume and then I don't say what's the word. I won't say force on others, but they assume the price is legit and then they force that mentality on others. Like, oh, it's a $100 card. You got to buy it for $100. I'll give you 90. When maybe the card really was a $60 card, but someone chilled it up to 100. I would say a couple things. Number one, I go back to the buyer. You don't have to buy because of the last comp of $100. You should look at that and make some better decisions. I know it's not the case. I'm not trying to defend shilling. I'll tell you why I'm getting at this is that I've noticed when I am buying breaks, competitive breaks on eBay, and let's say I got a team and the team starts with Atlanta. I'm talking specifically from experience with Monopoly. And I know, like in the beginning of the bidding, Atlanta, Boston, I can tell by the bidding if there's a big whale buying out the teams, right? I can tell. Like I'll have a bid in and all of a sudden he'll go way over the top on me, even though I have another bid on top. So I can pick that up. And sometimes I'm coming down the team list. Maybe I want to get Oklahoma City, but I see the Nuggets are there. I'm going to bid the Nuggets up high. Now, here's the difference. Let me explain something to you. I'm willing to take the Nuggets down if I get them, but I'm like, shit, I'm at $45 in Nuggets. Why am I doing that? Because I'm hoping that other guy has to spend some of his money before he gets to my teams. Does this make sense at all? Am I the only one who does this? Like, to me, I feel like I'm in a competitive bidding war against somebody else, and we both have so much budget we're willing to allocate to this break. And if I can get him to spend his money before he gets down to my team, is that bad? I'm not shill bidding. Again, like I say, I'm bidding on teams that I would buy. But if I got a specific team in mind, I'm going to put my highest bids up earlier. Here's what I mean. For the Nuggets, let's say I want the Nuggets. Normally, I would wait till I'd snipe it at 45. But if I want to block at the Nuggets, I'll put the bid in at 45 first. Because that way, I'm not, if it hits 45 and I win, great, but I'm not sniping it. But I also know in this way, I'm not shilling the bids, but I am making the bidding higher. Does that make sense? Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. So when this guy does this, I'm not surprised by this. We have to accept that this shit happens. It's the hobby. There's no regulations. In fact, I'll do another video later on what the true valuations of cards are and why this happens all the time. Well, people bid up and buy stuff that they don't want to buy. Right? They buy cards. Oh, man, I bought this card. Well, I already had two. I'll give them the third one. Dollar cost averaging. Right? That's for my PC. Next video here I got is talk to you a little bit about Messi moving to Miami. I think I heard this the day before last. And the first thing I thought about myself is, how will this affect the sports cards? I mean, honestly. And I thought to myself, too, do you think that way, too? Like, when you see news in the hobby, in sports, is the first thing you think about is how it's going to affect sports cards? Because that's what I do. I normally think about the sports card. That second thing is like player, news, sports card, which is ridiculous. I think this will help his cards. Because, again, I'll go back to one of my theories. I do think the most important factor, in fact, I think the only factor in a card value is their hype and their awareness in society, their mind share, their mind cycle in society. How they cycle around your minds, man. I like that. I'm going to take that one. Mind cycling. If they're not mind cycling, their value goes down. So you have some really great players have phenomenal performances in the past, right? Ewing, who lost so many championships in the Eastern Finals to Jordan, value very low. And the only people who hold his value are those small people who still like Ewing and go, oh, but he could have been. They're holding on to hope. His value really should be lower. Because in 100 years, no one's going to care, except for more Knicks fans. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'll talk about that later. A couple, real quick video. I think I got one more, maybe two more videos. Not much more here. Because I want to start on that Cubs project live stream. Okay. Matrix Sports Cards. Really enjoyed this. Here's what blew my mind away. This Donruss, no checklist. I mean, not Donruss. This Panini, no checklist, high-end, first of line box did not hit the floor. I think it sold out around 260, 280 yesterday. I was very surprised by that. I really thought that Panini baseball was dead. There's no checklist in this. I mean, you got to wonder who's buying this stuff at that price. And I'm curious to see what it will go for later on. I will tell you, had it hit 200, I would have taken a risk at it. Maybe. I don't know. But just thought it brings your attention. Also, big fan of Matrix Sports Cards, who does follow these Dutch Open auctions, and it's a really good thing to do because you get great insight on what people are thinking about the value of these products in the market, not just from Matrix, but from the chat and other people in the chat. So, if you haven't already, do recommend go sign up for the hobby board. I'll drop that link in the chat if someone's paying attention later. Over here, I have a video coming out on ComC tips and tricks. I think it's going to drop tonight. It's just a short video. Talks about how I've been selling cards and I've been using Center Stage to help me price my cards. And then a little tip I have right here is share a little sneak peek. If I see an offer like this, like Kobe Bryant is asking, I'm asking like nothing. It's SRP is 350. He's giving me, I'm going to counter with $1. Little tip there. If you're going to take the deal, and I take most of the offers that are made to me, I'm still going to ask you for a few more pennies over. Because they're probably going to accept it. It's this one right here. Let's see what this guy was. 2 upper deck, Young Gun checklists, 75 cents. It's going to cost you $1. $1, sir. I think that's a really good deal, too. I mean, come on. Okay, we'll stop doing that. I don't want to bore the hell out of you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Nothing else, right? We hit on all the news, I think. Get over to Cubs Project. Thanks for being here, sir. You're bidding well. A whale is. I mean, I'm not sure if else. I don't think we'll have any. I know, but some people sometimes say whale, right? I just know they have a budget. Okay, so I'm going to make them. And here's the way I could tell you that later on. I'll be on the break and you'll see the names of the teams and you'll see like Ken. And Ken's got all these teams in front of me that he bought. And then he doesn't have as many lower down the list. If that makes sense. I've noticed that trend. Okay, just my feedback when I've been bidding with a guy and I've seen him, because again, I'm in the same freaking auctions all the time, competing for these monopoly breaks. So later on, I'll see Ken is not the guy's name, but I'll see Ken, and then Ken's not as far down. Ken will still go after Miami or maybe still go to Orlando, but normally he doesn't take Orlando and Oklahoma if he's used a lot of his money up here. That's just the trend I'm seeing. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Go check out 8 million Cubs. Is it 8 million? 1 million Cub project. More content to come, man. I got so many things I gotta do. Have a great weekend. Happy 6/9. So tell your girlfriend it's 6/9 day.